Hello guys, today we are going to discuss the Enrica Lexi or Italian marine case. So this is one of the important diplomatic tussle between India and Italy. In 2012, Enrica Lexi, an oil tanker carrying oil from Singapore to Egypt, shot dead two Indian fishermen. So the Italian marines who were posted for the security duty in this Enrica Lexi shot the two Indian fishermen belonging to Kerala thinking that they are pirates. So this incident was considered as murder by the Indian government, but it was considered as a defense by Italian government. So this tussle leads to the famous Enrica Lexi case which lasted for 8 years, and the judgment for this case came in July 2020. So in this video we will be discussing the entire Enrica Lexi case, its timeline, and we'll also understand the judgment. Apart from understanding the Enrica Lexi case and the judgment, we will also discuss about the Permanent Court of Arbitration in the prelims point of view. Then we will be discussing the UNCLOS, United Nations Convention for the Law of Sea in prelim point of view, and the tribunal attached to the UNCLOS, that is International Tribunal for the Law of Sea. And then finally we will discuss the suppression of unlawful acts against safety of maritime navigation and fixed platforms on Continental Shelf Act 2002. So this act was passed by the Indian Parliament based on the Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts. So there is an SUA convention, that is Suppression of Unlawful Act Convention of International Maritime Organization. So based on that convention, Indian government passed this Continental Shelf Act. So this act was invoked by the National Investigation Agency when they filed the case against the marine. So that's why we will be discussing this act too. So let us start with the timeline of the case. So Enrica Lexi is an oil tanker. It started its journey in Singapore and it was going to Egypt. So en route to Egypt, when it was passing near this Alleppey beach, it encountered another ship. So this another ship was Saint Anthony. So Saint Anthony is a Indian fisherman ship. So it is a Indian fisherman ship of Kerala origin. So this Saint Anthony was a deep sea fishing ship. So it started from Needankara and it traveled for 31 nautical miles and reached this spot, green spot mentioned here in the map, which is almost 20 nautical miles from Kayamkulam. So it is also still 20 nautical miles only. So it is under that is 2.5 nautical miles only. So it is in the contiguous region. When this fishing ship came near the Enrica Lexi, the two marines who were located in the Enrica Lexi started the firing. So this was the Enrica Lexi and this was the ship. This was Saint Anthony. So when the Saint Anthony came near Enrica Lexi, marines in the Enrica Lexi started to fire on the Saint Anthony. Since they started to fire, two men in the Saint Anthony passed away then and there itself, and many of them got injured. So this is that Enrica Lexi incident. So now we have to think, why Enrica Lexi attacked the Indian fisherman without any warning? So what was the reason behind that sudden attack without any warning, or what is the reason for the panic? So we have to understand one thing. In 2012, Indian Maritime Organization announced that this entire Arabian Sea, so that is still this 78° east latitude, as high risk area for piracy. Based on IMO guidelines, any ship which is passing through this high risk area is entitled to carry armed security guards. So they can carry armed security guards for the protection against the pirates. So Enrica Lexi is a commercial oil tanker. It is just an oil tanker, commercial oil tanker of Italy, but it had Italian Navy in it. So two members from Italian Navy. So they are also called as Italian Marines. So these Marines were there in the ship in order to protect the ship, since the ship was going in the high risk area. Now let us understand why it attacked. So when Enrica Lexi was crossing this 21 nautical mile mark, the Saint Anthony, the fisher boats came very nearby to it. Since it was coming very nearby to it, even after the warnings, they opened the fire and they started attacking it. But actually you have to understand why this Saint Anthony went very close to Enrica Lexi. Generally when the fishermen are fishing, they used to lay the nets all around the sea, and they used to warn any other ship if it is coming nearby to the nets. So if another ship is coming nearby the nets, it may damage the nets, and damage to net is very costly for the poor fishermen. So they always warn the other ship from crossing the areas where they have laid nest. So this was the reason why these fishermen went and warned the Enrica Lexi not to cross that area as per the fisherman's claim. Okay. So since we are not having the entire judgment copy in detail, we are not having enough knowledge about what the actual incidents that took place. So since they went on to warn the ship, but Enrica Lexi mistook it as a pirate attack and they started to shoot irrespective of the warning. So this is the actual incident that took place. So let us understand the timeline now. The two fishermen, that is Ajish Pink and Valentino Celestin, was shot dead by two marine, that is Massimiliano Latorre or Salvatore Girone from Enrica Lexi, about 20.5 nautical miles off the India's coast in February 2012. So this is the actual incident. After this incident, this Enrica Lexi was leaving the spot and it was moving towards the Lakshadweep. So since the attack took place off the Kerala coast, you are having Lakshadweep here. The attack took place somewhere here. After the attack, the ship Enrica Lexi was going towards this side. Saint Anthony alerted the Indian Coast Guard, and then Indian Corlas went and intercepted the ship near the Lakshadweep, and they asked the ship captain to dock the ship in the Kochi port. So they brought back this Enrica Lexi to the Kochi port and they docked it there. After docking, the police authorities, that is Kerala Police and Indian Coast Guard, went inside the Enrica Lexi and started their investigation. After investigation, it was found that from the fisherman side there was no fault, and the entire fault was in the Enrica Lexi side, because without knowing the reality they just started to fire. So that is the actual issue now. So after knowing this, what happened? The Kerala government decided to file the murder charges. They decided to file murder charges against the marine. Kerala government filed a case under IPC section 302 for homicide. So once these cases were filed, it led to a very serious diplomatic fallout, and Italian government said that murder charges should be dropped, but irrespective of that, Indian government filed the charges. So once this murder charges was filed, the cases was going on in the Kerala court, and you know about the Indian judicial system, always the cases used to go for a long time, and there used to be a huge delays. So the case was going over a year. 2013 came. In 2013 there was Italian election. So Italy had elections. So during that time, what happened? The Italian embassy demanded Indian government to release this marine so that they go and attend the Italian election and cast their vote. So whenever Indian police is arresting any international people, any foreigners, their embassies must be intimated about that. So that is also part of the Vienna Convention. You have to you have to inform it to the embassy, and you have to provide them the consular access. So likewise, only the Italian embassy was helping this marine, and these marines were also, instead of staying in the jail, they were staying in the Italian embassy building only. So they were staying there and they were attending the court proceedings. In 2013, when the Italian government demanded that these marines should return to Italy for casting their vote for the Italian election, at the same time to meet their family, Indian government also accepted on the condition that they will be returning back to face the trials. So after getting permission from India, these people went to Italy, but once they reached Italy, the Italian government did a U-turn, and what they said was they will not allow the marines to return back to India. So which Indian government condemned it. So after the condemnation, both the Ministry of External Affairs and the Italian Foreign Ministry had the negotiations, and they finally decided that marines will come back to India on the condition that murder charges are removed. On the condition that the murder charges are removed, the Italian marines came back to India. But once they came back to India, what Indian government decided was, since this incident took place in contagious zone is a zone after the 12 nautical miles, that is from the shore till 12 nautical mile we are having the territorial waters. After 12 nautical mile till 24 nautical mile, it is called as contagious zone. Since the incident took place in contagious zone, in legal proceedings, the Kerala government is not having the jurisdiction, and the Kerala court is not having the jurisdiction. So the case should be investigated by the Union government and the Supreme Court. So the cases were filed in the Supreme Court, and the new case was started there. And Union government authorized the National Investigation Agency, NIA. NIA, you know, it is the apex investigation agency for terrorism related charges. It asked the NIA to file the case against them and to inquire. So NIA slapped the terrorism charges under Convention for Suppression of Unlawful Acts against Safety of Maritime Navigation. So there is this convention called Suppression of Unlawful Acts. It is also called as SUA Convention. So based on this suppression of unlawful acts against the safety of marine navigation, Indian government enacted an act called Continental Shelf Act. So this is a long name, Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against Safety of Marine Navigation and Fixed Platform Continental Shelf Act 2002. Since it is a very long name, let us call it only Continental Shelf Act. So Indian government, after signing this convention, so this convention is part of International Maritime Organization, IMO, International Maritime Organization's convention, which ensures that safe and peaceful maritime navigation. It allows safe and peaceful maritime navigation for all the private ships. So that is this the aim of this convention. Since India is a signatory, India passed this act based on the convention. So under this act only NIA filed the charges. So NIA, when it was filing charges, it filed the terrorism charges. So earlier the murder charges was removed, and now still more heinous terrorism charges were filed. So this was immediately condemned by Italian government. After condemnation from Italian government and from the NATO, since Italy is part of the NATO, if we are arresting their marines, since Italy is part of the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, if we are arresting the marines of the Italian Navy, then even the entire NATO can retaliate against the nation. So India is faced the threat of NATO retaliation. So that's why even NATO nations condemned and Italian nations condemned for terrorism charges, and that's why Indian government took away the terrorism charges and brought down the case to a violence case. Okay, they just termed it violence. Throughout the case, Italy's claim is that India is not having jurisdiction since the event took place in contagious zone, but still Indian Supreme Court was pursuing the case, and since they were focusing on the case, and the Indian government was not giving up. So what Italy said was, Indian government is not having the jurisdiction, so they should release the Italian marines, and also Italian government was also ready to pay the compensation. They offered even 5 crore rupees to the families who were affected, but still Indian government denied it, and they wanted to try them in the Indian courts. So now what happened? The European Union comes into picture. Okay, since Italy is part of the European Union, EU Parliament passed a resolution to refer the dispute to international arbitration. So European Union Parliament decided that this issue should no longer be tried in Indian court or Italian court, but it should be referred to the international arbitration. Okay, so after this resolution, what happened? This Italian government went to international Tribunal for Law of Sea. So this International Tribunal for Law of Sea is under UNCLOS. So under this International Tribunal for Law of Sea, it filed a case stating that India should drop all the charges. India should drop all the charges and cases against the Italian marines, and instead the case should be done under the Permanent Court of Arbitration. So Permanent Court of Arbitration is an international arbitration tribunal which arbitrates if there is any dispute in any international treaty. If there is a dispute in the international treaty, they will be doing the arbitration. So now what Italy claimed was India violated the UNCLOS. So United Nations Convention of Law of Sea was violated by India, since Indian government, that is the Kerala police, entered the Enrica Lexie and arrested the marines. It considered that the Indian government violated the UNCLOS. So what happened? Whenever there is a dispute with respect to a treaty, they will be going to Permanent Court of Arbitration. So what Italian government did, it filed a case in International Tribunal for Law of Sea, so that and demanded that India should drop all the charges, and Supreme Court of India should hold the case, and the arbitration should go in Permanent Court of Arbitration. So this case was filed in 2015. In 2015 itself, International Tribunal for Law of Sea gave a judgment that Supreme Court should halt all the proceedings and entire case, and Indian government should stop the proceedings. So based on this judgment, Indian government also demanded Supreme Court to pause the case till the judgment of the Permanent Court of Arbitration comes. This case was again, this was done in 2015, and after 5 years in 2020, we had the judgment now. So this is the brief timeline of the entire cases. In 2015, Italy filed a case in International Tribunal for Law of Sea and invoked Annex 7. So let us see what is this Annex 7. Why there are two tribunals? Like Italy filed two cases. One case in International Tribunal for Law of Sea, and other case it filed based on Annex 7 of UNCLOS. So Annex 7 of UNCLOS enables Italy to take this case to Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay, so since it enables Italy to take the case to Permanent Court of Arbitration, now there are two arbitration tribunals are involved. One is Permanent Court of Arbitration and other is International Tribunal for Law of Sea. Since there are two tribunals, let us understand the difference between two in the due course of video. I'll explain that in the later part of video. So final award came after 5 years. So this is the brief timeline of the entire event of Enrica Lexie. Now let us see about the actual judgment and the final award. So we have to understand one thing. So now the case then went to Permanent Court of Arbitration. In the Permanent Court of Arbitration, from Italian side, what they demanded. So from Italy demanded that India is not having jurisdiction. So this was the first demand by Italy. The next demand by Italy was that India violated UNCLOS by arresting the marines. So this was the contention given by the Italy. So what was the contention from the Indian side? So directly Indian side went and said that the Indian side said that UNCLOS itself is not having the jurisdiction. So this case is totally the jurisdiction of India under Suppression of Unlawful Activities Act. So Suppression of Unlawful Activity Convention of International Maritime Organization, only under this convention this case is coming, not under UNCLOS. So this was the Indian government's claim. So there was a contention vessel which convention will apply, whether the Suppression of Unlawful Activity Convention will apply or UNCLOS will apply. So this was the first contention. India said that UNCLOS is not having any jurisdiction and Permanent Court of Arbitration is also not having any jurisdiction. So this Permanent Court of Arbitration should drop the case. So this was the first demand made by the India. The second demand made by the India is that this Italian marine should be tried under Indian court. Under Indian court, and they should be criminally prosecuted in India. Okay, so criminal prosecution should be done in India. So this is what the both of them claim were under the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Now in 2020, after hearing both the cases, the judgment came. So in 2020, let us see what the judgment states. First, let us go that what it is telling with respect to jurisdiction. It is telling that both India and Italy is having the jurisdiction. Both India and Italy are having the jurisdiction in the case, because this case affected the two Indian fishermen in the contagious zone. So India is having the jurisdiction. Simultaneously, it is Italian Navy officials who are there in the ship to protect the Italian ship. So since they are Navy officials who are representing the state, they are having the state immunity. So state officials are having the state immunity when they are discharging the official duties in the foreign land. Whenever a state official is discharging in this duty in the foreign land, he or she cannot be criminally prosecuted. Okay, so that is the jurisdiction of Italy. So both India and Italy are having the jurisdiction in the case. But what it said was the immunity granted to state official, So state officials is greater than, it precluded the India's jurisdiction. Okay, since they are having this international immunity, it is precluding the India's jurisdiction. How they are having the international immunity? You have to understand one thing. Even our Article 14 of the Indian Constitution also states that under exemptions, Article 14 is having exemptions where there will be a line which states that all the international ambassadors and members of the United Nations and members of the foreign nation are exempted from any criminal charges filed in India. So you have already seen this particular thing which is happening. So if you could remember, 2 years back, a Saudi Arabian embassy, a person who was working in the Saudi Arabian embassy sexually harassed the housemaid in Delhi. So when the Saudi Arabian embassy official who was staying in Delhi, he sexually harassed the housemaid. So India, instead of filing criminal charges, what it did? Since the state officials who are representing a particular nation are exempted from any criminal prosecution, they asked the Saudi official to go back to Saudi Arabia and they demanded the Saudi Arabian government to take action against them. So similarly, you would have remembered the Devayani Khobragade case. So Devayani Khobragade is a Indian IFS officer. So you don't think Surya Vamsam Devayani, not the Devayani. So this Devayani Khobragade is a Indian IFS officer who was posted in United States. So she was there was a case against her that she harassed her housemaid. Okay, she didn't treat her housemaid well, so there was this case against her in the United States. So at that time also Indian government demanded that United Nations government should not prosecute her, instead they should send her back to India. So this protection to state official is given under the Vienna Convention. If you could remember, even during the surgical strikes also, Abhinandan, the Indian air commander, when he was caught by the Pakistan army, what happened? They returned that official back to India. They didn't arrest him and they didn't prosecute him there. Instead they returned Abhinandan back to India. So because these state officials are protected under the Vienna Convention. So similarly, so based on this Vienna Convention only, these Italian marines are also provided the immunity. So what it said is, this immunity of the official is greater than the India's jurisdiction. Okay, so what it said, so Indian courts cannot be doing any case. So what it said, that Indian court, so India's claim was denied here. Indian court can never be trying it, or Indian Supreme Court is not having any jurisdiction to prosecute them. So India should release this marines and they should send that back to Italy. So the first the award is that the Permanent Court of Arbitration in Hague admitted that both India and Italy had concurrent jurisdiction in the matter, but concluded that marines immunity precluded India's jurisdiction. So marines immunity is more than the India's jurisdiction, so Indian courts cannot try. So Permanent Court of Arbitration under 3-2 judgment said that Italian officials are having since they are doing they are operating in the official exercise, they were granted the immunity. So under 3-2 judgment they said that, so 5 judges were there, under 3-2 judgment they said that they are having the state immunity, so Indian courts cannot try them. So India claimed that UNCLOS and Permanent Court of Arbitration are not having doesn't have any jurisdiction. However, the majority court, okay, the majority bench in the 4-1 judgment ruled that it had this jurisdiction. So it also denied another India's claim that UNCLOS is not having jurisdiction. India claimed that SUA convention is having the jurisdiction but not the UNCLOS, but the Permanent Court of Arbitration adjudicated that no, this case comes under UNCLOS only and not under the SUA. So this was the ruling, and it is still having jurisdiction under United Nations Convention for under law of sea. So that is the second claim which the judgment stated. Okay. Next, the tribunal anonymously rejected the Italy's claim that India violated the UNCLOS. Okay, by detaining the Enrico Lexi and by arresting the 2 Marines, Italy claimed that Indian government violated the UNCLOS convention, that is Article 87 and 90. So under Article 87 and 90 state the freedom of navigation. So it talks about freedom of navigation. So by arresting the officials from Enrico Lexi, India violated the freedom of navigation clause. So this was the demand made by the Italy. But instead what the PCA said was, India never violated it, but it's actually the Italy is the one which violated it. The tribunal held that actions of Italian military officer has breached India's freedom. So it reversed. So PCA reversed the Italy stand and said that it is Italy is violated the UNCLOS but not the Indian officials. What it said was, these Italian Marines, by attacking the Saint Anthony ship and by killing the 2 Indian fishermen, they violated the freedom of navigation, and hence what it said was, these Italian officials should be extradited back to Italy, and they should be, and Italian government should file a case, okay, should file a case against the Marine. So that is a judgment which said it should file a case against the Marine and the case should go. This was the first order. The second order is that Italy should pay the compensation. Italy should pay the compensation for all the damage it done. So this was the 2 judgments given by the PCA. The one is, it is Italy which violated the UNCLOS, and hence Italian government should file a case against these Marines, and these Marines should be tried under the Italy law and they should be punished in Italy, and also they should pay the compensation for the damages done. So this was the judgment of the from the Italian side. The tribunal also held that India is entitled to for the payment of compensation in connection of loss of life, because 2 of them died. Since the 2 of them died, their family are entitled to do compensation, and for the physical harm done to the other members of Saint Anthony, and for material damage and for the moral harm suffered by the owner of Saint Anthony. Since the ship also underwent damages, the owner of the Saint Anthony also had suffered the material damage. For all these things, the Italian government have to pay compensation. So that is the judgment. If India and Italy are unable to agree on the compensation, then what will happen? Then Permanent Court of Arbitration, so this PCA will decide the compensation amount. If at all they too are not able to come to a conclusion on what should be the compensation, then the quantification of the compensation will be done by PCA. Okay, so this is the final judgment. Now what should happen? Now Italian government should file a case against the Marines. They should file a case against the Marine and they should pay the compensation. So this is the final judgment. So now what Indian government should do? Now Indian government, after this judgment, India is a democratic nation, so India always respects the international treaty. So according to Article 51, we know Article 51 of DPSP, which states that Indian government should abide by all the international treaty. So that is one of the important DPSP. So based on that Article 51 only, what India did, as soon as the judgment came, even though the judgment was not favor of India, India accepted the judgment and abided by it, because that is one of the constitutional obligation. We accepted the judgment, and what now India should do? India should demand diplomatically to Italy to try those Italian Marines in their case, because 2 lives have gone for innocent reasons. So there were innocent reasons, there was no mistakes from the fisherman side. So these 2 Italian Marines should be tried in the Italian court, and the compensation amount should be right and fair. So this is what Indian government should demand now. Okay, so this is the brief background of the entire judgment, guys. So thank you guys. In this video we discussed in detail about this entire Enrico Lexi issue or the Italian Marine case. We discussed about the entire timeline. So timeline of events we were discussing, and we discussed in detail the final judgment. Okay, so in next video we will be discussing about the Permanent Court of Arbitration and its mechanism, how it functions, and we'll also discuss in detail about the United Nations Convention for Law of Sea and International Tribunal for Law of Sea, and also we'll try to understand the provisions of this Continental Shelf Act. Stay tuned for this video. That video will be coming soon. Okay, thank you guys.